I've always had a lot of time for Hercules as a manufacturer. They are never beholden to industry trends, always forging their own path, and when their stuff hits, it can really hit, like with the DJControl Impulse T7, which is one of my favourite bits of DJ kit from any brand in recent years. So when they reached out to me in late 2024 saying they had a new beginner controller to send me, I was excited. Then I opened up the email with the specs on it and my reaction changed a little. What put me off the DJControl Mix Ultra? Well, it's quite simple. It doesn't have any audio connections on it, like none. There's a USB-C port for power and charging the battery, but that's all you get. The Ultra is strictly a control surface, which connects to your phone, tablet or computer via Bluetooth. It does also connect via USB, but that's kind of defeating the point here. It's intended to be wireless only. This is not the first time we've seen a device like this. The DDJ200 from Pioneer DJ had a similar setup, and I never reviewed that one because I didn't like the idea. Coincidentally enough, that's now been replaced by the $170 Alpha Theta DDJ Flex 2, which still retains the Bluetooth connectivity as an option, but also has a built-in audio interface for a wired connection to powered speakers and headphones. For me, that was a course correction which I much appreciated. Regular viewers might know that I don't review things which I don't have at least some nice things to say about, so my reaction to the reveal of the Ultra was very much hard pass. So what changed? Well, I went to the NAMM show in January and the Ultra was very much the focus of the Hercules booth. I tried it and got a demo, and those things gave me a new perspective on the device, so much so that I ended up bringing one back with me after the show, and here we are today. The DJControl Mix Ultra is a 2-deck controller for Algorithm's DJ software. It will work with iOS and Android and computers as well, although mobile is clearly the focus. With a street price of around $200 in the US, it's not the cheapest controller on the market. It's not even the cheapest controller in Hercules' own lineup. Indeed, if you're after a more traditional controller, which connects to a computer over USB and has audio outputs, then the DJControl Impulse 200 Mark II will do that job for around $70 less. Let's get that audio thing out of the way first. It can and probably should be a deal breaker for many potential buyers. If you're new to DJing, a quick explainer. The whole concept of mixing is to blend one track into the next, and that can be by matching the relative speed of those tracks, beat matching, or just executing a smooth fade or a cut at the right time. And although we have lots of technology and visual aids today, it's still important to be able to pre-listen to the incoming track yourself before the audience hears it. That's called cueing. That's why almost all DJ controllers and mixers have at least 2 audio outputs. One for your headphones and one to go to your amplifier or powered speakers. As the Ultra has no audio outputs built in, it relies on the output capabilities of the device it's connected to, generally in this case a phone or tablet, none of which have multiple audio outputs in themselves. So Hercules provides you with a special splitter cable which takes a stereo 3.5mm headphone output with left and right channels, and it splits those into 2 mono channels. So you lose stereo sound, the left and right panning of sounds, but you do get sound into both the left and right ears on your headphones, and the same on your speakers. Tell the DJ app that you are using that setup and it just works. One immediate snag though, it's rare that a phone or tablet has a headphone socket anymore at all, so you'll likely need a USB-C or Lightning to 3.5mm dongle too. Those are cheap, but it's still an extra cost and something to think about. In practice, look, this setup does work. It's messy, you don't get stereo sound, and charging your device while mixing is a pain unless you get a different, more expensive kind of dongle. But it's certainly not that practical if you intend to DJ to any kind of audience, even at say a house party. So if that is your intention, then probably move past the Ultra and look at something else. So who is the Ultra actually good for then? Well, not everyone aspires to play in front of crowds. Some people just want to play around with music and have some fun DJing for themselves, and maybe they aren't interested in learning the intricacies of mixing. they're happy to rely on the technology at their disposal to create fun mixes they can listen back to later. And that's where everything else about the Ultra is actually kind of cool. It's a very compact unit, and despite being all plastic, feels quite solid all round. It also comes with this fantastic cover, which clips on to protect the unit when not in use, and then sits underneath, functioning as a phone or tablet stand, although neither my phone or iPad sat very securely in there. When it comes to controls, it's actually more fully featured than something like the Impulse 200, with 8 pads which aren't RGB but feel good, and the same number of different pad modes, taking full advantage of all the tools inside the DJ software like pitch play, loops, effects and the sampler. The Ultra also unlocks the full neural mix option inside DJ without a subscription, so you can work with the software's excellent stems, either with pads or by swapping it in for the EQ controls. There are 3 of those, by the way, not the 2-band you find on many budget devices, and the treble also works as a trim control when using shift. There are dedicated knobs for the high and low pass combo filter on each deck, and the pitch sliders, although short, are precise and have a good feel, with a small physical click at the center point. Oh, and there is a knob for scrolling around in your library and buttons to load tracks, again, something often sacrificed on beginner controllers. The jog wheels are, yes, kind of tiny, but they do have a nice weight and momentum to them. What you won't be doing with those jog wheels is much scratching for 2 main reasons. Firstly, their dimensions, and secondly, the whole Bluetooth thing. I was actually shocked at how responsive all the controls feel on the Ultra when connected wirelessly. The latency is very impressive during regular mixing tasks, but when you start trying to do cuts, that's when it definitely does become a bit noticeable. A side note, you can use a Bluetooth speaker or headphones with this setup, at least on iOS. I haven't tested on Android, there is no conflict. But when you do that, the combination of the audio and controller latency together makes things a lot more uncomfortable for me. I definitely recommend sticking with your device's built-in speakers or use a wired setup. Back to the good points, the Ultra needs a battery of its own to power it, and that's where we get into what else I like about the unit, repairability. They reckon the battery lasts for up to 10 hours, and I am not doubting that. I haven't charged it since I got back from NAMM, and it's still going. But the battery is not some proprietary thing hidden inside. It is easily accessible via a cover on the base, and it's a generic type which you can pick up many places online for just a few bucks. Likewise, the faders, they aren't anything special, but again, Hercules have designed the Ultra so you can just open it up via all the screws on the rear, and then there's a separate board with just the 3 faders on it, so you can replace those without needing to solder anything. So between those 2 things, the Ultra has the potential to be a much longer lasting controller than many at this price point, and I think that is great. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about the situation where the Ultra could truly shine but doesn't right now. The place where any kind of wired connection is more of a hindrance than a help, and where multiple audio outputs are irrelevant. That place is in VR. Yes, Algorithm's DJ released for the Meta Quest last year, and the fact that you can connect wired controllers with audio outputs to it is incredibly clever. But let's be real, nobody is actually doing gigs with it. They are messing around in their living room. And so the Ultra, with its fully wireless setup, would be a perfect accompaniment to DJ on the Quest if it could connect wirelessly. It does actually work when wired into a Quest headset via USB, but sadly there is no option for the Bluetooth control on that platform, at least for now. If Algorithm and Hercules can work together to make that happen, I would say the Ultra would become the killer controller for DJ on the Quest. So we come to my conclusions. There's a lot to love about the DJControl Mix Ultra. The hardware is well designed and fun to play with. The battery lasts for ages, and I'm really into the repairability of the unit. The integration with the DJ software is uniformly excellent, and DJ is, in general, kind of the perfect app for beginners. Easy to get started with, available on pretty much any platform, and it contains all the streaming services you could ever want, so you don't need a big music collection to start playing. Using Bluetooth to connect the hardware to the software does in some respects remove a layer of complexity. It's plug and play without even needing the plug part of that equation. The reason that the Bluetooth annoyed me so much on the Alpha Theta Flex 2 was that it was only for one particular type of device, and so that added more complexity, not less. On the Ultra, things are simple. And so, as I said earlier, for those who just want to play around with music and enjoy DJing just as a bit of fun at home, the Ultra is great, and it would also serve as a cool travel companion for more experienced DJs knocking out mixes on trains or planes. But where things inevitably break down is with the audio side of things. If you have any desire to play to audiences, then ultimately the Ultra is a technological dead end. The whole splitter cable thing is simply too clunky to rely on in front of a crowd, in my opinion. That's not to say that more traditional sub $200 controllers with built-in audio are exactly suitable for plugging into the sound system at a super club either. They aren't, but they do give you more options out of the box. If this was the only beginner controller option from Hercules, I would honestly say it's something of a misstep, but it isn't. As I said, they have numerous other choices, some of which are even more affordable. So if you are conscious of the Ultra's limitations and are more inclined to this fully wireless way of working, then it is a well-executed product which will serve you well. In the comments, let me know your thoughts on the DJControl Mix Ultra. Have I been too harsh on it or too lenient? Does audio connectivity really matter for beginners, or am I overstating things? Sound off down below. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Beatsource Tech. If you liked it, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss any future videos. And hey, if you haven't already, you can try Beatsource for free and join DJcity for just $10. All links are down in the description. I'll see you next time!